UFC 243 takes place in Australia, featuring a headlining bout between Robert Whittaker and Israel Adesanya, the style bender, versus the biracial angel. I like that nickname. It's way better than Bobby Knuckles, but I can do with both. It's a great fight. We're going to go through the entire fight card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving our predictions for all of them, and then we're going to, for the bigger fights, make separate videos where we go into a bit more in-depth with our analysis. Okay, starting with the early prelims, the fight game kicks off with Khalid Taha versus Bruno Silva. Khalid Taha gets the job done. I like this kid. Bantamweight, there's a lot of guys on this card that have kind of been ushered into the UFC as fillers because they really couldn't fill this card, because let's face it, no one other than Australians want to make that trip to fucking Australia, and that's a fact. Okay, if you want to make that trip to Australia from America, there's something wrong with you, because that flight ain't normal. So they're having trouble filling this card. It's hard to get people on short notice to take a fight in Australia. Take some kind of preparation. Okay, Nadia Kassem versus Yi Yeong Kim. I'm going to go with Nadia Kassem here. I like her nose. I don't, actually. But I'm going to go with Nadia Kassem here. I think she gets to... Actually, I'm going to go with Yi Yeong Kim. I think Yi Yeong Kim's going to get the job done. She's a much bigger girl at women's flyweight. I think she's going to get the job done. Jamie Malarkey versus Brad Redell. Brad Redell's 2-0. He should not be here, but as through circumstance, he is now here. Jamie Malarkey's 12-2. This ain't rocket science. I'm going to go with Jamie Malarkey. Brad Redell may be a greater fighter, but just off of precedent, I have to go with Jamie Malarkey. I've got morals. You know what I'm saying? I can't give a win to a 2-0 guy. Fuck him. I'm going with Jamie Malarkey. I think he gets the job done. Moving on to Megan Anderson versus whoever they've decided to give her next. I'm going to go with Megan Anderson here. I feel like there's only a few girls that can beat Megan Anderson at featherweight. We've seen how decently good Felicia Spencer is. Obviously, Chris Cyborg's up there with a girl that could beat Megan Anderson, Holly Holm. She's only lost to decent fighters. I feel like they've sort of scraped the bottom of the barrel to give Megan Anderson a big win here. I think she's going to get the job done. Callum Potter versus Maki Pitolo. I'm going to go with Maki Pitolo. Callum Potter, small welterweight. Just came off a KO loss to Jarlin the Tarantula Turner, who isn't a good fighter in himself, so I don't really like that he's been KO'd by him at all. It doesn't sound good to me whatsoever. And I think he got KO'd to him on UFC... Oh, fuck. 234. The last time we were in Australia. UFC 234. Callum Potter got knocked out there, I believe. I hope I'm right in that, but I feel like he's going to get knocked out again by Maki Pitolo, coming off the Contender Series. Younger guy, bigger guy, more power. I think he's going to KO Callum Potter in the first round and make a big statement in his UFC debut. Justin Taffer versus Yorgan De Castro. I'm going with Yorgan De Castro, coming off the Contender Series. Big heavyweight again, Justin Taffer, just to kind of fill in through circumstance. He's only had 3 fights. He's an Australian guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to give those guys the credit they deserve, because it's only situational that they're even in the UFC. I like Yorgan De Castro here. Big win on the Contender Series. Coming into the UFC, 5-0, big heavyweight, fat heavyweight, but a big heavyweight nevertheless. I think he's going to get the job done against Justin Taffer by KO. Jake Matthews versus Rostam Akhmedov. I'm going with Jake Matthews. I think Jake Matthews is a very good fighter. I think he's a young guy who's had a lot of ability to learn. He's taken a lot of time off since his last loss, which I believe was to Tony Martin. Again, on maybe 234 or something. I don't even remember when he lost to... But he lost to Tony Martin in his last fight by submission in the 3rd round. Gave Tony Martin some issues, and Tony Martin's a guy who I respect as a fighter immensely. Only lost to Damian Maia at welterweight. No hard feelings, especially by decision. No hard feelings. I feel like Jake Matthews is going to grow from that. Come back in here and give Ross Nackman a KO loss in his home country on the headliner of the prelims. Big moment for Jake Matthews. I feel like he should have been on the main card, but he's not. I'm going to go with Jake Matthews here by KO. Main card. We got Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. Here's where the fights get interesting. Some of them. Holly Holm versus Raquel Pennington. I'm going with Holly Holm. Coming off a KO loss. Quick turnaround. Really quick fucking turnaround. So they're obviously sensing that maybe the time is not... She's 37 years old. I mean, it's not young. I don't know how women's physical peaks happen in terms of mixed martial arts. I do think she's going to have a really fucking boring points decision over Raquel Pennington. I like Raquel Pennington. I don't think she's good enough striking-wise to really cause it. She's not Amanda Nunes. I don't think she's going to cause a threat to Holly Holm. And I think she's going to get outpointed over 3 rounds, coming forward, head first, getting pieced up. Every, 2 minutes, someone's going to land a jab, and it's going to be Holly Holm. She's going to get a boring decision. The crowd's going to be booing, but she'll get the win. You know what I'm saying? Luke Jimiao versus Diego Lima. Luke Jimiao is the hometown guy here. Diego Lima's... He's had a rough time in the UFC. He hasn't lived up to his brother, Douglas Lima's kind of hype. If you have that surname Lima, and you're a relative of Douglas Lima himself, you better be a damn fucking good welterweight. Diego Lima's a big boy for welterweight. Luke Jimio, the Jedi. I don't know how Luke the Jedi makes sense. There you go. Well done. Well done, dude. Fucking funny. Yeah, I feel like I'm going to go with Diego Lima. I don't rate Luke Jimio's wins in the UFC. I do rate Diego Lima's last few wins in the UFC. He's had some good ones over Court McGee, Chad LaPriest. It's looking a lot better than Luke Jimio is anyway. Way better. I feel like he's riding high off of 2 finishes in a row. I expect him to get hurt in this fight because his chin is rather suspect. But I think he is going to get the job done here. He's the younger guy. He's the bigger guy. He's going to own the striking department. I feel like Diego Lima's going to get the job done by decision. And it's going to be a great fight. That's my prediction. Diego Lima. Tai Tuivasa versus Sergey Spivak. Both heavyweights. Both fat. Both head first. Big bombs. If you're going to go head first, big bombs with Tai Tuivasa, you got a big problem. Especially if you're coming off a recent KO to Walt Harris that was fucking brutal in June or May. June. Was it May? I think it was May. He fought Walt Harris in Russia, UFC Moscow, I believe, something, or UFC St. Petersburg, one of those events. And wherever Overeem fought Alexei Olenek, that's where Sergey Spivak got knocked out by Walt Harris. I feel like it's going to happen here again. Tai Tuivasa coming off some losses. For the first time in his career, he's on a 2-fight loss streak. I think he's going to go in there. He had a decent fight with Blagoy I shit all over it because it was quite a bad performance from both guys, and I'm not going to go into that right now. But I feel like Tai Tuivasa is going to get the job done here. If you're going head to head, big bombs with Tai Tuivasa, he's going to beat you. I think it's going to be an early knockout for Tai Tuivasa with a first round KO in Australia, and then we can maybe see him versus some other guys, some other big names at heavyweight. Iaquinta versus Dan Hooker, big one. I'm going with Dan Hooker. All right. I'm going with Dan Hooker here. I like Iaquinta. I feel like after I watched the Donald Cerrone fight, I noticed some holes in the game, up the middle. When you're a shorter fighter, you better own that up the middle range. You know what I'm saying? If things are coming up the middle like uppercuts, front kicks, knees, like Donald Cerrone exposed in Iaquinta, you have to adapt to that as a shorter fighter. That's your job. I'm the shorter guy. I got to watch out for these things. He's the taller guy. He's got to watch out for these things. That's what you got to learn. And I feel like Iaquinta has some holes in that area. And nobody throws knees up the middle like Dan Hooker in lightweight. And that's a fact. Nobody in lightweight throws the knees that Dan Hooker does. Right up the middle. Iaquinta comes in with his head down like this. Kind of head first. Up the middle is open all day for him. I feel like Dan Hooker's going to catch him in the 2nd or 3rd round with a knee up the middle and KO him stiff. I'm talking Dan Hooker. You can look into his history. Dan Hooker's got the knees up the middle. Jim Miller KO'd him with a knee up the middle. Gilbert Burns, the knee up the middle, spurred on the KO and rocked him in the first place. Ross Pearson, KO with a knee up the middle. I feel like it's a sort of habit that Dan Hooker has, timing these guys that like to bob and weave and throw overhands like Iaquinta. I feel like Dan Hooker's going to get the job done here. And yeah, let's move on to the big one. I think the lighting just changed. The lighting just changed as I dared speak about Whittaker versus Adesanya. That's a sign. I must be right. Whittaker's going to KO him in the first 2 rounds. Mark my words, he is. Israel Adesanya leans back once. He stays there once. That's good against a guy who covers normal range. Israel Adesanya, you'll see it over and over and over again. He'll lean all the way back, and it's good against certain guys. It's good against certain guys that throw from there and keep their feet planted. But when you're Whittaker and you cover so much range so quickly, this leaning back is not going to work. It's the same problem Darren Till has. Same problem Darren Till had. It's good when you're throwing when you're fighting guys who are flat-footed and they're throwing their shots and you can lean back and your chin's out of the way. But when you're fighting a Jorge Masvidal who knows how to cover the distance and knows what he has to do, he's going to leap forward and land that shot on you when you think you're out of range, and you're going to get KO'd stiff. I feel like that's what's going to happen to Israel Adesanya here. I am not saying that Israel Adesanya does not have a chance. This is going to be a great fight. This is going to be a phenomenal fight, maybe even a fight of the year. I think Whittaker's going to catch him. I don't like the styles. I don't like the styles that mixed up. That being said, I'm a big fan of Whittaker. I do hope... So, if Adesanya wins, I'll be happy, because as much as I like Whittaker, Adesanya's the bigger name here. You know, he'll do better for the UFC. Him versus Jones sells more than Whittaker versus Jones. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like that kind of thing. Israel Adesanya has more chance to move up to light heavyweight as well. He has more options in terms of opponents that way. Whittaker's about 6'1", I believe. Adesanya's 6'4". You know, he's got a lot more mobility between weight classes. I like that in a champion. So I do kind of hope secretly that Adesanya wins this. And I think if Adesanya is going to win it, an oblique kick is going to be very effective. A lot of leg kicks against Whittaker to slow down his sort of big footwork, heavy movement. Shot straight down the middle to catch him on the chin. I do think that Whittaker's going to get him though. I really do. I feel like he's the younger guy. I don't feel like that. I know he's the younger guy because it's a fact. The lighting's changed. What is going on? Every time fuck all this superstition shit. I don't know what's going on with the lighting right now in the world. But it's changing while I'm talking about this fight and I'm terrified. I'm going with Whittaker. I think he's going to hit Adesanya with a double engage. He's going to come forward. Boom! Left hand over the top. Israel Adesanya leaning back to get his chin out of the way of what would normally work. Whittaker's going to cover more distance. Catch him on the chin while he's leaning back. Israel Adesanya's going to slump backwards and hit his head off the canvas and wonder what happened. Robert Whittaker is going to get the job done. Level of opponents, Whittaker. You know what I'm saying? Youth, Whittaker. Power, Whittaker. People, don't make mistakes, guys. Israel Adesanya hasn't got the hugest amount of knockout power to suggest that Adesanya's going to go out there and just KO Whittaker stiff. I don't think is a good accurate guess. If anyone's got the chance of KOing someone stiff in the first round, it's Whittaker. And the example lies because you look in recent fights, similar fights and opponents they've had. Yes, they both fought Brunson and KO'd him in the first round. Against Whittaker, you could argue he got a better version of Brunson that was less KOs deep in his career, that was more willing to go out there, grit his teeth and throw bombs like the normal Brunson that we're used to seeing. Recently, Brunson's been trying a different style. Against Tavares, Adesanya's the pick apart, stay at range, 5 rounds, decisions Tavares. Whittaker's the kind of guy to go out there and starch Tavares in like 30 seconds. You know what I'm saying? He KO'd Tavares in the first round. If there's an early KO, it's Whittaker, and I think it will be Whittaker, by early KO. Adesanya, I feel, has his chances in the later round, once he's kind of done a bit more damage to Whittaker, or once Whittaker's maybe done a bit of damage to himself, because he hits too hard for his own good. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Click that button there. We're going to be making videos on the bigger fights soon, so yeah, subscribe, and they'll be released. See you later. Goodbye.